life is short and you have to kind of choose how best to use your time on this earth. And I try to be a useful person, so the main way I try and do that these days is through my photography. So I've always been interested in social issues from the time I was a teenager, and now as a photographer I choose to tell stories which I feel have some social meaning. I had very good teachers who kind of sensitized me from early on to the fact that there were people in our society that were less privileged and that we could, as individuals, do something to help them. I keep a journal of what I'm seeing, feeling and hearing and what people are saying to me. You know, I get kind of deeper in relationships with people as well, and maybe that shows in the intimacy in some of the pictures. It's like a long-term, you know, investment, emotional investment, and people open up emotionally, which is kind of a rare thing.
A lot of the times photographers have a great visual sense and they'll come along with you, and sort of on the way there they'll say, what's the story about? And then they'll start shooting at that point. But she really will often know more about the story than the reporter does, and that's can be sometimes intimidating, but I think it leads to a great result. She does have a very strong commitment to the underdog, to the lower members of society who are struggling. I think she views this as part of her mission to be a voice or the eyes for people who don't always get into the newspapers. What impresses me the most is how hard she works and how she never really lets up. She's almost like a professional athlete in that she's always prepping, and that every story, every assignment is important for her. She doesn't seem to sort of cut herself slack on a lot of things.
Her concept involves engaging the imagination, you know, and it's not just cut and dry, and it's not just a message that she has that she's in a very didactic way wants to preach to the person receiving her work. It's really a work that invites the person in to think a little bit more about the issues and the themes, and to kind of humanize these themes and issues.
I think she moves people to action. She's incredibly powerful at that. And she doesn't move people to action and not dig into her own pocket. She does it herself, but you are not to know. You know, she'll do it, and that will be quiet, just like Chee-Yin.
It's a very kind of privileged job. You get to have fun, you get to enjoy watching that magical intersection between time, light and human life. You get unique access into people's lives that you have no business being in, and you get to tell stories for other people. I want to empower people who can't necessarily tell their own stories, so that's something that I feel quite strongly about, is this sense of social purpose in giving a voice to people who can't be heard otherwise.